And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Alien Spaceship stream. You could be watching from anywhere around the country or the world, and I really appreciate every single one of you. And tonight we're going to be talking about things with the Diddy trial reaction, things about what happened today with it, and other things as well in addition to that. And we will be also playing the game in the beginning as we usually do, and now I'm going to be saying the intro. So you could be watching from anywhere around the country or the world, and I really appreciate every single one of you coming to you from the spaceship studios from a galaxy far, far away. I appreciate every single one of you. All right, so hello, it's me, Alien Spaceship. I hope everybody is having a good evening, had a good day, and it is Tuesday. So with the Diddy trial that I've been covering, they have verdicts through 2 through 5, but not a verdict on the other count just yet. The first count of the RICO, and I think that Brian Steele's a very good attorney, and he did what he does to cause doubt within the jury, in my opinion, about that. Others theorize that there could have been some corruption. Theorize there could be people paid off to try to make his trial go in a favorable direction. Allegedly, that there's no evidence or proof about that. Just people have speculated. So it was quite an interesting twist today, but tomorrow they'll be going back to their deliberations. Now, what I'll be doing is I'm going to be getting the game up for a little bit while we talk about this and then get into these different updates and articles as well. All right. So, going here. All right, starting up the game. Hello there, Rebecca. It is great to see you. I hope that you and Leon are doing well. We are just starting this stream, and so basically, with the Diddy trial I've been keeping up with, it was an interesting plot twist when they will not be. They did not come with any. They did not read any verdicts today. None of that happened. All they did was they were going to go back tomorrow to see if they can deliberate the final parts, which is the to see if he's guilty on count 1. So now we're going to go to the game, as we always do, and here we go. Wrong window. It is this one. Okay. Yeah, so the Allen charges is when the judge will try to encourage a jury to go back and find a verdict. So it's kind of like a system where you try again. And then when you try again, there's an opportunity where they might come with a guilty verdict or another verdict. And they were trying to see about having the jury deliberate on the 3rd. Now, they deliberate on the 3rd. It's right before it's a federal holiday, and there might be alleged pressure on the jury to get a situation where they might feel rushed to get a verdict before the holiday happens. People want to spend time with their families, things like that. So there's theories that they might be peer pressured by themselves and just want to rush and get a verdict before the holiday, because they want to go home, but without actually trying to get the correct verdict. Yeah, so, and we will see if it's guilty or not guilty. And as I said, I always say a jury is unpredictable. It's hard to tell what a jury is going to do or think. And when you have that happen, you will have a situation where people say like a defendant is going to be guilty or not guilty. Like today, we didn't know if they would be coming out with a verdict today, but as I said, on 2 and 5, they have a verdict for, but they did not deliberate. They did not continue deliberations. They'll continue it tomorrow. And tomorrow, we will certainly see what that verdict is. Maybe, possibly, they might come with a verdict tomorrow. And it's with the RICO charges. So there might be a juror holding out. Or maybe there's like evidence and stuff they don't think makes sense with that type of verdict. Hello, Shecky. Good to see you, buddy. And how long have they been deliberating? For 13 hours. Because, you know, some verdict watches can last for a very long time, so I didn't think it was going to happen in 1 or 2 days. You know, so I certainly didn't think it was going to happen in 1 or 2 days. It was going to be a situation where it would take a little bit longer than a day. So I was right about that. And they'll be coming back in tomorrow to go over the first one. And Shecky, hope that you're doing well. We are. Rebecca, it's something that YouTube does in the YouTube chats. I don't, you know, it's not something that I did, but like, say, in a chat, they will have like a top fan. So YouTube put this thing in the different chat rooms where anybody that like comments the most, like has a lot of comments on the stream, they will give them a first, set place, second place, third place, fourth place, but only first and second place, first, second, and third are shown. Because, and if you like clicked on the top fans in the chat window, it shows like Rebecca and then Shecky, and I guess they just started in the chat, so as like the people chat, it'll increase and increase, and then some people might go first or second. Right. Now, as I said, it may, over time, it might go to a certain, where it might go to someone else. Like, it might go to first, might go to someone else over time. It switches up, it switches up over time. So, it's something YouTube invented. Now, and Shecky, I've been having a great day. It was very intense and nerve-wracking because of the Diddy trial. So he was found. Oh, hello, E-Frog. Oh, hello. It's good to see you, buddy. I hope that you're having a good day. I'm talking about. I keep up with trials a lot, as you might already know, and I'm keeping up with the Diddy trial. So, and Koberger tomorrow is going to do the sentencing for tomorrow for him. Now, something that with the Diddy trial that was going on, there's like nearly 40,000 people watching or more, and the jury came back with a verdict on 2 and 5. They did not announce anything, but they will be coming out with a verdict maybe tomorrow, because on count 1. Well, thank you, E-Frog. My day's been good. It's been a little bit nerve-wracking because of these verdict, but in a good way. It's like a suspenseful, in a good way, about what the trial's how it's gonna turn out. So, oh yeah, the merch store. Oh yeah, so I'll go put the link in the chat for it. Yeah, so basically, what happened with Diddy, he was on count 1, which is the RICO charges. Brian Steele's an excellent attorney. I like him from YSL. He, I think, was able to get the jury to have confusion about if he did RICO or not. And they have to just do one count of RICO, and that's it. But that's something they're struggling with. And the jury is going to be... Oh, thank you, Rebecca, for posting the link. Thank you. I'll go and pin it. So yeah, so basically what has occurred is the Allen charges. Now, the Allen charges is when the judge will encourage the jury to go back and deliberate. And it's possible that they may, or we're going to, or possibly might say the verdict that he's the verdicts, and then they're going to talk about the other verdicts with the like they might say the verdicts that have come out, but not the other verdict because it hasn't come out yet. So the jury's still going to be deliberating on count one. It'll be interesting to see if he is guilty or not. And as I said, people think he's guilty or not guilty. It's hard to tell, man. There's been times where I was certain somebody was innocent, without a shadow of a doubt, and they get found guilty. There's people I've seen that were guilty of sin, and the jury says that they're not guilty. So it is just quite hilarious with that. With Brian Koberger, another one I was keeping up with, he took the plea deal yesterday. And when he took the plea deal yesterday, he pled guilty, so he would not get the death penalty. But two families are upset about the situation. Other ones, as far as I know, have not made a comment, so I'll be watching that tomorrow as well. Yeah, today in New York City it was very rainy. It was very stormy, and it got when Sierra, the anchor over there for the channel, they were having a lot of traffic like on the street because it's New York, and there would this very loud beeping and honking, and it's just it comes out of nowhere. It's a little surprising, but you expect it because it's a city. And a lot of people started gathering outside when the verdict was being announced, and the views and everything started increasing. So it will start increasing, and like outside, like it's like there must be a town crier somewhere that says like the verdict could be coming in, and everybody just gathers in the real place and online. So I think it's quite fascinating to see that, and I like watching it with the friends. Like some of us watch chases or riots or trials. It's very interesting watching it together in a community of people. So I think that there is still a human connection that way. So it's quite interesting. Ah, okay. I got my mail at some point earlier with the during the yeah, it was during earlier today. I got the mail. Because sometimes I'll forget to get it. All right, so it is going to be going this way, and we're going to fire right like that. Yeah, and I think, in my opinion, it will be very whatever the reaction is, it's going to be interesting. And if he does get found not guilty, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be triggered either way. There's people that are for and against him, so there's going to be people going to be triggered, and I think his reputation has been tarnished completely. Either way, are going to be fired at by a bunch of ships. Yeah, so I think so. That is what I think about that situation. And I think that another thing that I think because I'm saying a lot of stuff that I think about different topics at the moment. Absolutely where when you have the suspense is a key element in a lot of these things because if everything was just the same, it would get not as cool. If you're going through an event and it's not suspenseful, it's not the same as if it is suspenseful. So the suspense is another thing that drives a fascination with it as well. Yes, Rebecca, absolutely. I don't mind. That's very nice of you. Thank you. Rebecca, I appreciate you very much of helping the spaceship. Now, a lot of people like the merch, the alien stuff. And as I said, I appreciate every single one of you for liking, commenting, being here, whatever people do. I appreciate the support and views and stuff. Yeah, and with the other trial, the Preppy trial, we had a situation where the defendant took the stand, and everybody that's watching a replay, watching it live, it's best never for a defendant to take a stand on in a trial. And you know what the defendant did? He buried himself. And the body language, all of that, the body language and all those different factors are what is essential to convince a jury about something. That's why it's good to have attorneys do it for you. About to go out. We're going to go and dock at the other island because we're about to go. Let's see. Yeah, there's no other island close by. There's King's Head. I could make a turn right here and get the thing repaired. I could sink possibly, but we'll see. Yeah, and with the preppy, so this preppy murder trial is where these kids are having a party. These I'd say it was high school kids, and they got into a fight, and the defendant pulled out a knife and started stabbing people, and it was quite crazy to hear about that. He stabbed 4 people, and he was trying to say that he didn't do it on purpose. He got nervous and accidentally stabbed 4 people. People don't think that makes sense. This is the same type of doll, so we're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna get this hero doll right here. There we go. Okay, we're going to take it all. Okay, so we're going to go here and just switch up the weapon, and it's been quite interesting. Let's see what it does. Okay, anyway. So, yeah. So when the defendant took the stand, it was just really cringe to, I mean, it's good for people to want to say their side of a story, but it's, as I said, in these court situations, like with anything that could be used against you, and they can do a number on somebody. Like, for instance, Tellis took the stand, and it caused him a problem. Yeah, so this is a healing doll. It's not a weapon. Okay, so yeah, so that's what the bottom line is to never take the stand. It never works because it could just be used against you. I love these daggers in this game where you could just throw a bunch of daggers. It's my This is quite cool. Quite cool weapon. But these are a lot of enemies. A lot of enemies. And we're going to go into this. Oh, wow. I did quite well with the dagger. It's about to upgrade a level. Oh, wow. Thanks to the help of one of the alien allies, one of the pirate allies, I was able to take out the enemies. Now, this is a sword I'm quite good at mastering. And at first, when that defendant in the Preppy trial was talking, he seemed kind of bashful. and he kind of like you couldn't really hear the dude, so they're telling him to speak up like 100 times, and eventually he spoke up. And yeah, he just was a youngster. You know, he was just young, and it's unfortunate that at that age he wasted his life, but and took someone else's life. But you know, it is what it is. And because people gotta understand that weapons are good and all, but if somebody has like a weapon, it could be used against them in a certain sense that legally you can. There's repercussions for certain activities that could be dealt with in a more peaceful manner. But now there's times when you have to use self-defense, of course. You know, that's true. And in self-defense is different than like this situation. Because like it would go to a trial and they would be able to see it with self-defense. So, yeah. But this situation, somebody's angry at somebody, I don't recommend pulling out the weapons. There's a treasure chest of something I don't need. Nice. Nice. Yeah, shout out to the pirates that are, you know, helping out. That's pretty cool. What I'll do now is update the sword. Well, hello, Moki. It's great to see you. Welcome to the chat. So, with the chat, I mean, not with the chat, with the chat. Yeah, earlier it was cool seeing you over at the Diddy trial. I know there's nothing else on, and I was just making some comments about the. I was making some comments about the other trial with the Preppy trial. So I thought, you know, it's best for a defendant not to take the stand, and I don't think it was good for him to take the stand in that situation in the Preppy trial that we were watching earlier. And you know, because the people in the chat, the reaction from the chat was like, "Wow, you know, it didn't go as well." And like I was just saying about how he was at first they had to get him to speak up because he was kind of talking low, and he's just like he's a little kid. That's what he just seems like, a little kid. And it's unfortunate in that age there has to be, you know, this death and imprisonment and all for everybody, but you know, people got to just not be in tune with their emotions and try to, unless they're trying to really defend themselves. But I just think it's best for a defendant not to take a stand, to take the stand. And when you don't take the stand, it's better for the defense to just take care of everything, and the person might just be found guilty anyway. So, yeah, and it was quite. So that is the Preppy trial that we're watching earlier, Moki, and then I saw you at. I was about to call it YSL, but you know, shout out to Brian Steele. I like Brian Steele. Okay, Moki said he did well in direct. Okay, but not so great on cross. He should have just admitted he hit that kid. Okay, Moki, thank you, Moki. So, okay, understood. Very good point. Thank you, chat. I appreciate the shout out about the merch store. Thank you. And I remember with that trial. Okay, he did good on cross. He did good on the direct, but not so great on cross. Okay, so yeah, and but usually, as I said, it's not recommended for them to take the stand, in my opinion. But thank you, Moki, for more of a direct specifics about it. Yeah, so it was wild today with Diddy how there was there was verdict on 2 through 5. I'm like, the jury's working fast. You know, the jury was working fast, but they're uncertain about the RICO charges. Thank you, Rebecca, for the feedback. I appreciate it. Oh yeah, the merch store is quite fantastic, indeed. It's quite fantastic. I do nice, comfy clothes and good with the and good style too. Yeah, and hitting the kid in the first fight doesn't negate the self defense in some fight in the second fight. Okay, understood, Moki. Thank you. I'm going to end up buying your merchandise, OO. Buying out your merchandise. Oh, yeah. Uh, that may absolutely be a situation that may occur. That you may buy it all out. I'm trying to help him. Okay, there. I had to do that. Yeah, in the second fight. Okay, Moki. You are glad for the Koberger plea. Oh yeah, yeah. Now I will say that some of the families are upset about it. So I think it seems like a double-edged sword in a way. But I do also think it's cool that he will be locked away forever. Because although there could still be a plea for that, there could still be a plea for the life sentences still on. He will be locked up for, and he pled guilty that he did it. And also, the prosecutors were thinking it would spare the families, more grief. But as I said, two of the families are upset about it. And I understand the families are upset and they have a right to be. So that is a situation that I do think I'm not going to be overlooking. Abby says, I am too, but I get they want the DP. Hi, guys. Turning in a while, sleep aids kicked in. Okay. I agree, Moki. I agree. That is true. So that is a benefit that the family doesn't have to go through. Oh, hello there, Remy and Virginia. It's great to see both of you. Yeah, so as I said, it is good that they don't have to have the appeals. I mean, they don't have to go through the certain process like with Bundy when he got the death penalty. He appealed for many years, and although a death penalty, although life sentences can be appealed hypothetically, still it won't be the same thing as you know this other situation that could have been worse in the long term. You're number three. Scared. Look up DP statistics for Idaho. I don't think they've used it since 2011. So you think it's something in their state that they just don't use? They don't want to have a death penalty case. So what we are talking. Oh, hello, Greg. It's good to see you, my friend. And thank you, Moki, for all the information. So with Koberger, I think it is absolutely important to see that situation where there will be okay, I, where there will be appeals hypothetically, usually, but the families don't have to go through this death penalty thing. I do agree with that, and he'll be found guilty and he'll put behind bars. I do agree with that. Now, other people think that the reason why he did this was because he was going to get the firing squad, and if he gets the firing squad, he will not be. He did not want to go through with that, so he wanted to get life in prison instead. So there's different theories about it. Let me throw in my daggers. Okay. Okay, okay, Moki. So in this situation, he can't plea anything. Okay. Yeah, okay. Because you can plea a life sentence, you can appeal a life sentence, but in a plea, he can't. Okay, thank you, Moki. Thank you, Rebecca. Yeah, shout out to the merch store for those that are interested. There's some comfy outfits for aliens, for those that are into it. Yeah, so he'll be locked up there forever. Yeah, and then Remy says BK taking a plea means that the victims' families can just move on. Okay, understood. So when he does that, he will be locked up forever, and that will be a good thing. That's a good thing. I do agree that it's good they could just move on. That's absolutely what they're supposed to do. But as I said, two of the families are upset. CTV says new trial tomorrow. Okay. Thank you. Oh yeah, thank you, Moki, for that. Yeah. Yeah, people think he wanted to mess with the families. I feel he had no real motive. Was just twisted and vile. Thank you, Abby. We've theorized that it's possible that he had something against the girl, one of the girls he had a crush on, allegedly, or on society in general. But it's interesting. He might have just been a deprived person. Hello, Frog. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, Remy said he knew he'd get shot. Yeah, and with Koberger, he has that like demonic, creepy stare in his eyes. He has like the cold stare, what's it called, where people can have a look in their eyes and not be like him, but and I'm talking about like these male killers specifically. I'm talking about them. That's what I'm referring to, where they look like somebody's going to do something like that. BK is huge. He'd hurt people easily. Exactly. Exactly. Oh. Oh, okay, Moki. I didn't know that. Okay, I did not know that. Yeah. Yes, yes, Greg, the male deleters. Yeah. Yeah, now with Bronies furries, I don't know a lot about them, but I know that there's some like stereotypes with them. I'm not either of those things. But like with the Brony, she said the Brony, I don't think everyone that's a Brony is necessarily going to do stuff like that in my opinion. But the furries, I don't know anything about furries, but the furry people, but they seem to be associated with a bunch of trouble, and I'm sure there are like bronies that are into those other things as well. But yeah, thank you, Moki, for pointing that out. Yeah, I wonder about that myself. That's something an interesting fact in it. Kept seeing frogs today, and okay, Abby says yeah, targeting MM, but KJ just KG ended up sleeping with her where Koberger went first allegedly, so it makes sense. And Moki, nope, I can't believe that incident. What the heck is wrong with people? Yeah, so not everybody that's into those things is going to do something like that, in my opinion. But I'm sure it was somebody that was far out and wanted to do something terrible. Like it just, if it was a complete degenerate person for going and doing that shooting, I think that is absolutely despicable, and it's making a stereotype look bad where the person's associated with those other things. So thank you, Moki, for the information. I didn't know that. You heard about the lady who beheaded her fella super meth. Ah, I'm not surprised that it has to do with somebody with meth. Absolutely. Super meth. Yeah, it's like sometimes the stereotypes are true. Sometimes stereotypes are true. There you go. You got to be careful with certain folks. They're quite insane. Quite insane people out there. With, I said, with the Koberger, it's good that the families get to move on. And I know that there's some of them are upset, but it's good they get to move on because they now can be at peace about it. Because the other thing, there would be constant appeals and stuff like that. All right, the crew did well. Okay. Hilarious, Remy. Hilarious. Abby says, for real, I've just met people that want to commit homicide for no reason, no trauma, no issues, just for fun. It's horrific and scary. Psychos and socios are really dangerous. Yeah, and I think with Koberger, what he had is nothing to do with autistic people. I think he's more of a psycho or a socio, or in my opinion, like he has no empathy or compassion, and he has no conscience. The other, like, autistic people aren't. They're not. They can have those things, conscience and stuff like that, and emotions. Now, as I said, there was a school shooter, the Sandy Hook shooter, who kind of has the same stare as Koberger does, and he allegedly had the autism, but I don't think that's a correlation. I think they're more psychosocio, in my opinion. Those people that do stuff like that. Moki says there's no guarantee of the DP anyway, and with the Nutball Pro Burgers, I'm glad that they aren't gambling. Yeah, because I'm sure that trial would have been a clown show, probably like Reed. So they're not gonna have a clown show now. Hilarious, Moki. Oh yeah, good. Okay, I'm glad that you don't believe in that, Abby. And it's also, all right. And now we're going to be taking over. Yeah. So anyway, basically with the Koberger, I think that he certainly did it, and he certainly has like a evil look in his face. Although looks can be deceiving and stuff, yeah, he certainly did it. And he ordered the thing from Amazon before he did the atrocity, and yeah, I think he just wanted to do killing, and he was copying, in my opinion, off of Bundy, the Chi Omega sorority murders that he did, where he murdered the women, and he when he murdered those women at that sorority, that's basically like what he was doing. So Bundy escaped prison, and hopefully Koberger doesn't escape. Scared. So when Bundy escaped prison up north, he went east. He went to a couple of different cities, and he saw the Rose Bowl and his college team playing, and he thought that he didn't want to be too obvious. So then he went down to Florida. He did some evil things, more evil things. He murdered a child, and he also did the Chi Omega sorority murders. And this is, in my opinion, Koberger was copying off Bundy by doing that. And two families are upset about Koberger getting this, but at least it'll be over with and he'll be locked up forever. And Abby says Proberger's like the chick I met at the hospital are type of chicks that'll send him letters and lust over him. Yeah, same thing happened with Bundy. So Bundy got a lot of letters from women that claimed to have loved him all over the place, and they were sending nudes and stuff to him. So yeah, it's nothing new under the sun. Moki says a lot of people saying the deal doesn't include him having recounts of his crimes like BTK. Oh, okay. Thank you, Moki, for that information. BK is definitely neurodiverse, Nog, that it makes it okay. Scared. And if he had autism or not, that would not be an indicator of somebody turning into somebody like him. I think it had to be other factors that would have influenced that kind of behavior. Where it's also making references to Charles Manson, where he also had a stare to him too, where the male deleters, they all have like a certain look to them. These male deleters. So I think it was quite important to point that out. That like if you saw the guy, he doesn't look like somebody you want to be around. And Abby says, I'm shocked. Exactly, Moki. Yeah. That's what he is. Abby said, I'm shocked and glad. I'm glad he admitted he's guilty. I just feel awful for the families. Imagine what his family is thinking right now. Oh, Abby, I'd say that one of the biggest victims is the families. Like, they have to suffer with that their whole life. Their kid, their cousin, their brother, sister, their sibling, their friends of him all have to suffer with that the rest of their life. That he did that. And it'll traumatize them forever. Their grandson, a nephew, and that they have to, not only the people that lost their loved ones, but the families have to deal with that, like their son. Like, oh yeah, my son's in prison for life, or, just... when people do these atrocities, they're not thinking of their families. You want your families to grow old while you just sit in prison, and you can't help them or do anything to help your friends or anybody. And you're just sitting there in a cell or he didn't want to get shot. Or he want to get shot. Yeah, Moki, that is what happened with Bundy. Same thing, that people wanted to like change their name that were associated with him. And it traumatized them the rest of their lives. So, yeah, Bundy's mother actually was a big defender of him in that case, and she thought her son was innocent, and she urged and begged the jury to find him innocent. And they just knew that their clean-cut son that went to college wouldn't do something like that. And, Bundy did creepy stuff. His girlfriend noticed it. He allegedly, they're saying now that his stepdaughter's saying now that she was molested by him, allegedly. She's, saying that he did that. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't put it past him to do that. So he would steal things. So his girlfriend Liz would say that he would go to the store he would go to the mall and go and shoplift. He would park his car under the mall and shoplift. And she was like, "You want to practice law?" And he said he was a good looking, clean cut guy, and he's doing these crimes. And she said, "You got to stop doing this stuff." And so he was another thing about them. These socio peoples, they're compulsive thieves, and they're impulsive in general. So they like to steal stuff. So that was another thing about Bundy that he fit into that characteristic. With Kohberger, his family and his friends are going to have to deal with this forever, and it's how devastating that has to be. And his family's going to be there watching their son get locked away forever. That has to be like a heartbreaking thing. Like when they're doing these things, they're not thinking of the families, his own family, or his victims especially, or the families. It's just absolutely not nice. To do that to somebody, to kill people, to delete people, and to do their own families too. It has to be embarrassing, but people that don't feel any emotions are not going to care because they don't feel anything. So, oh well, it's a loss for people that can't feel emotions properly, or people that want to just cause homicide. And I do believe in an afterlife, and I do believe in karma. All right, I believe there's something like that. So the piper will be paid, and what goes around comes around. So, yeah, it's just a very disgraceful situation. Abby says that's so true, and the stigma of being tied to a vicious, disgusting murderer. That's a lot of trauma baggage. Families truly suffer a lot. Yes, amen, Abby. His family is supposed to be there tomorrow. Okay, Wild and Rule worked with Bundy. Yes. Ann Rule worked with Bundy, and Bundy was very good at a suicide hotline, a self-deletion hotline. And they worked together, and he just seemed like a regular guy. Now, there is one place that Bundy worked where every time a murder would happen, Bundy's his Beetle wasn't there, his Volkswagen Beetle, and they would make a joke that it was him. And Moki says, "We are under a dust storm warning." Oh, Lord. Scared. A dust storm warning. That is rough. Yeah. That's something when I was a kid watching at CNN, I'd watch the conflicts in the Middle East, and they would talk about the dust storms. These giant monster dust clouds would just consume the... It was crazy, from what I saw. It was quite wild. It was like, wow, it is quite nuts what these people, have to go through over there. So, yeah, over there where you are, yeah, dust storm. Yeah, good luck with that. Scared. Another wife offing her husband with her boyfriend. Aw, another Monica. Oh, by the way, I want to mention, without spoilers, hopefully, there's this movie an old movie from a long time ago, very long time ago. Yes, Remy. Yeah. In certain parts out west where there's a lot of sand, because you remember, Remy, the western part of the United States is a desert. Okay, it's a desert. So yeah, there's dust storms. In the Wild West, there's a lot of in the frontier, there's cactuses and tumbleweeds, and yeah, it's basically a desert. Oh, that's right, Abby. How could I forget? Ski aired. Ski aired. Oh, hello, Aaron. It is Dookie time. OMG, I take a break from court for one freaking day and everything goes wild. Oh yeah, yeah, Aaron. The Dookie is on. I know, Remy. I know, but America has an eclectic terrain. It has, but the desert is one of the terrain, just like the Middle East. Now, as I said, it's a it's like basically the same thing. Like, and also I have like seen pictures and images of parts of the Middle East, like there's Afghanistan and Pakistan, and it looks a lot similar to the mountains in the west, out west, and parts of Asia where you'll have like China and stuff where they have these mountains and things like that, and it looks a lot like the western part of the United States. So the western part of the United States are it is very, as I said, very sandy, very desert like, where you'll have dust storms and things like that. And there's mountains and a lot of mountain ranges also. And Rebecca will take a shot every time I say scared. Scared. And Aaron says, "Hello, friends. KB, please out. Verdict Diddy in new trial tomorrow. Deleter interview with Nate Laurie so much." They filmed a dust storm dunes in Arizona, and we're going to have some probably some history time. Yeah, we're gonna have history time. Yeah. What time is it? Not adventure time, but history time. Ski aired. All right. So we're gonna go over here. Is it going to show me? It's not. We're gonna have to go. We have to use the other browser. All right. So we're gonna show. All right. So we're gonna. I'll go right over this way, and we're going to show the American deserts. It's going to be docks. It's going to be safari. It's going to be right there. All right. So we're going to put that there. All right. So I'm showing some of the desert pictures. So like America, we have deserts. We might have to find somewhere to watch the new trial if L Law and Crime doesn't pick it up. Okay. Yeah, so America has these deserts. And just like the Middle East, you know, and you have the same type of dust storms and things like that. And let's see, is that one? Yeah, this is a desert in the US. Yeah. In the Mojave Desert. So an Apple had released a version called Mojave. And the Mojave Desert, it just looks like a lot like the Middle East, and with the rolling dust hills, dust mountain. I don't know what y'all call them. Dust hills, dust mountains, and with the Mojave Desert, it is, as I said, very, you know, you'll have dust storms in this type of weather. You have all these dunes. They're called dunes. All these dunes, and with all the dunes that you have, you'll have the type of dust storms you have in the Middle East and Africa, and Australia. So yeah, America has a similar terrain in certain parts. It's very eclectic. You have the swamp like I have. You have up north. Yeah, thank you, Moki. I figured it out. It was dunes. Yeah, I forgot about the name of it. Oh, that is cool. You get to see the fireworks. Now the animals don't like the fireworks, unfortunately. so we're concerned about them. But they are still interesting to see, but it's not nice for the animals, though. All right, this is the Mojave Desert. I hope they have a good time watching them, Aaron. Absolutely. All right, so you have the Mojave Desert. So in this region, for instance, you probably would have some dust storms. Quite fascinating. You know, back in like the old west, you had settlers, you had pioneers and settlers going out to this terrain and taming the untamable land, and people had to live out here. They eat beans and they like jerky and bacon and stuff like that, and that's where New Mexico was where Billy the Kid went. A lot of people are just going out west. So yeah, you have and dust storms is something they had to deal with, like the handkerchief. Like cowboys like to wear handkerchiefs, and a handkerchief would kind of protect your face from a dust storm. And Shecky says Mojave is beautiful. It's on the edge of Joshua Tree Park. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, Moki. That's cool. That's cool. So, in Macintosh, Apple computer that I have, it back in like 2019 and 2017, around 2020, before 2020, they had so Apple puts out different versions of their computer, and they use different ranges and stuff in California, and one of them was the Mojave. So they had the sand dune from the Mojave Desert. Abby says handkerchief equals bandit. That is true. That is true. Especially in the SpongeBob movie, they they had a bandit, a giant bandit with a handkerchief on his face and glasses, and he was bad to the core, and he was trying to capture SpongeBob and Patrick and make their lives miserable. Yeah, the ninjas. Yeah. So, and then Mojave Desert, as I said, you have this terrain. You have that, and you have the beloved cactuses. I remember I was watching Survival, and there's like people could eat, cactuses, not cactuses, but inside a cactus. Also, there's some bugs and things that people could eat, but I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you had to. All right, this is Joshua Tree. Beautiful landscape. Absolutely beautiful. Scared. I said beautiful moon, and as I said, the settlers and the people in the frontier were that's all they had, like living off the land. So it's just admiring what the American spirit, American people are able to do to go all the way out west and be on that terrain. So good luck, Moki, with your dust storms. It. I don't even know what it's like to go through something like that. And that is a rainbow. That's pretty cool. It's a rainbow over the Mojave Desert. That's very, that's fascinating indeed. And you have that. Awesome. Let's see. This was the this is when Mac had the Mojave as their computer operating system theme. And it had like light and dark, so that was the sand dune from the Mojave Desert that Apple used. In their wallpaper, it goes from light to dark, day to night. Yoma Dunes. Okay, definitely. Hello, Anna. It's good to see you. Yeah, that is where they got that from. Now that's very cool. Oh, that's probably supposed to be fun. That's like some Mad Max stuff going on here. As I said, looks a lot like the Middle East and North Africa, where they would have the camel riders, the camel caravans that would carry things throughout the desert. It's very fascinating. Moki says that Yuma is a southwest corner of Arizona. I used to live there. Ah, okay. Okay, that's very cool. Yeah, that has to be fun to do some dune riding. It's like some Mad Max stuff. That's pretty cool. And shout out to Remy and Anna. It's great to see you both. All right, Glamis. Let's see what Glamis is. These are the Glamis sand dunes. All right, so you have the vast sand dunes in Glamis. Oh wow, yeah, that certainly looks like the wallpaper. Abby says, "I'm going to bed. Night, Meds Kipton. Good night, everyone. You guys are the best." Okay, Abby. A good night to you. Thank you for coming to the stream. I really appreciate you. All right, those are a bunch of dunes in the mountain. All right. Ski aired. Yeah, very cool dunes. Very cool sand dunes. Those are the sand dunes at night. All right, that looks very enchanting. Yeah, so you see all those stars and constellations. There's so many of them. More than can be counted. Numerous as the stars, wow. It's like a sea of stars, definitely. So, yeah, that is like a view of it like at nighttime. I said a bunch of constellations for anybody to see. And yes, very cool. Thank you. And that's another one too. You see, without all the city lights, Brandis said, "Hello, the wheels of justice are turning, y'all. People is getting sued. I'm in my way to on my way to victory." Oh, hello, Miranda. It's great to see you, and congratulations on your victory. Good job. All right, so this is the this is the sand dune, the most desolate place to life at night. This was taken last summer in Glamis Sand Dunes in South California. That's so cool. All right, so there you go. The most desolate part. You see, you can see the galaxies. That would be a great wallpaper too. Yeah, so you can see the galaxy. You can see all the different planets and stars and celestial bodies. That is just extremely enchanting. It's extremely enchanting. So, yeah, shout out to the sand dunes over there. You know, like I'll go there one day. I'm going to be looking at all those stars and planets. That's what I'm going to be doing up there. Yes, I love night sky pics too. And like Apple, for instance, they had a lot of wallpapers in the past where they had the galaxy pictures and stuff like that. And so I'm gonna go there one day, and I'll be doing. I could be live from the sand dunes, looking at the sky constellations and stuff. That'll be pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Miranda. That is very, a lot of disgusting people in the world. Thank you, Shecky. Joshua Tree camping. Okay, thank you. Oh, absolutely. It looks like the Windows wallpaper. So, yeah, this is Joshua Tree Park. That is so cool. The purple aura. I call it an aura. The over in the galaxy, it's so enchanting to see. Wow. Yeah, amen. Amen, Miranda. Stay strong. Yeah, the kids are the future, Miranda. That is absolutely true. Yeah. So basically, this is, as I said, very cool place to do camping. Absolutely. As I said, it's so cool. Like that's where a lot of people, that's what they saw at night before all these city lights and stuff. That's what they got to see. Yeah, Miranda, I do agree. It is very hard for anybody to go through. Scared. Yeah, that I like how the tent is like glowing. It's so cool. Miranda, I'm glad you never gave up. I'm glad you keep fighting. You're a fighter, and that is so admirable to see, and that you're fighting for the cause you believe in. I just because for you to see your kid, that is very essential. Yeah, so that's very cool. I've never seen anything like that before. Where I am, you could see the stars and stuff at night, but like I've never seen that before. That's so cool. Yes, I know how the mothers are, and shout out to Mary Toodles. Yes, yes, and I'm glad that I was with my mom and her family. It was better that way. So, Nothing against fathers. Fathers are very important, but sometimes some people it's best to stay away from. Rebecca said, I grew up in the country, so I've seen constellations, etc. When I moved to Flint, I was outside with a friend one night, and she says, there's a planet. I said, no, that's a lamppost. Ah, yeah, hilarious. Hilarious. Oh, yeah, that's so cool that you're in the country. Speaking of the country, I was in Kentucky, as I've said before, and I got to see the constellations and stars at night. It was not as secluded as the pictures that we're seeing, but I saw it was in the country, and I did see the stars. It was very dark, and I could just see them all twinkling, and the different. Now, where I am, you could see it at night pretty well. Not like the pictures, like we could see a galaxy, but you could see quite a few things. So, yeah, Rebecca, that's so cool that you got to see that, and you know the difference. You never seen fireflies? Oh, I saw fireflies in Kentucky, and I've seen them here when like the power was out during a hurricane. I saw them. So like where I am in Louisiana, they have them, but you can only see them when the power's out for a long time. In Kentucky, I used to see them at night. I'd be on the swing, the bench. Okay, a thing about me that I was very known for is swinging on a bench swing. So when I'm I'm on the there's like this bench swing when I was a kid I used to sit on, and I used to like to be on swings in the playground. So I would through my adolescence, through my teenage years, I used to always sit on the bench swing and rock and go swing back and forth and listen to my iPod and go on the internet and stuff. Sometimes the swing would wear out and break. There's videos of me doing it. Now, I used to. I gotta go put like a short up about it. Now, there was times where the swing would break, and I'd be on it, and I would just feel something not right, and then it would just be like, you feel like you're falling out the sky. You feel like you're falling out of another dimension. And I was always safe, thankfully, but the swing would just go boom, and it would be like one side's broken. And then the other time what happened was when you're on the swing, and I would have like I had this handle, and it would be tied with like a chain and a rope, and I would use it to steer the swing. So when I would be like in suspense, I would use it to increase or decrease the speed of the swing, like a craft. Because it's I build spaceships, and that's something that I like to do. Now, I made what I did was with the swing build. My grandpa and I would do that as a project together. We would repair the swing and do stuff with it, and it was a project that him and I did together. But with the swing mechanism, I got one from like using a playground, and I put it as the swing hook. Because usually they would have these plastic, these rubber fillings, and they just wear out. So what I would do is we would attach the playground swing, so that way it would never break. But what happened was, the hurricane happened in 21, and this giant tree fell and slammed on the swing set. The swing's okay, but the swing set was, unusable. So it's like an abandoned amusement park. And with the swing, it broke at one point. A part of it needs to be repaired from another time it had a fall, but it's still intact and salvageable. So that's what I did when I was growing up. So when I was in the swing in my mom's aunt and uncle's place in Kentucky, I would see the fireflies and the stars and stuff, and I thought I saw a giant bat, but they're saying like in a city I might think things are bigger than they are, but I can swear I saw a gigantic bat. Oh yeah, Aaron, that's fun to catch them in jars. Yeah. So my area, if a hurricane happens or something occurs where the power is out for a very long time, I'll see fireflies. But up in Kentucky is where you see them all the time. Miranda said, "Thank you so much. My son's dad is trying to launch me by getting him to see me as little as possible. Hole and our son's stuck with the drunk grandma, not me and his dad. And remember, is 5 to 7 kids, 2 babies, newborn, and the other is not his. The other is in custody. Yeah, it sounds like a big mess, Miranda, but you'll be okay. You'll push through it. You'll be all right. And we're pulling for you. We're praying for you, Miranda, and you got this. So we are glad to see you continuing the struggle. And shout out to all of you in chat. Y'all are an excellent spaceship crew. Yeah, exactly. They are cool. They are cool. And or like a firefly, you see it like this thing, then it just zooms and it just disappears. It's so fascinating. It's so fascinating. Oh, thank you, Remy. Thank you. Yeah, a group hug for the spaceship crew. Shouts to the chat. And yeah, so fireflies always are enchanting, and also having a place where the it's just completely with no lights or anything is very cool. Miranda said, "Alien, thank you, my sweet friend. Jesus has the grace large enough to get me through it. Peace be with everyone in the spirit of calm." Amen, Miranda. That is true. Amen. Keep the faith. You're doing great. And oh, Libby, hello, Libby. It's great to see you. Welcome. So, Libby, it was a wild day at the Diddy trial, and with the Diddy trial, as I was talking about before, is 2 and 3, 2 through 5 is a verdict that we don't know of, and then on count 1, it is not known. So it is turbulent times. It is turbulent times indeed. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And so there was they all of a sudden, as I said, they came out with a verdict, but it was not announced. And tomorrow they're going to continue deliberations. And we do not know what verdicts are, and people are making predictions. It's unpredictable. I have no idea what a verdict's going to be. And it was absolutely wild. And yeah, Libby says, "I was so mad that the jury didn't stay and work it out." Oh yeah, Libby. I think that I remember that when we were there, because I remember you there earlier. We were the jury didn't want to stay and deliver it out. They have to do it tomorrow. So I don't know how long it's going to take them, but there's alleged pressure because of their holiday that's coming up, the 4th of July. So we're going to have to see how that's going to go, if that's going to have any influence on it. Let's see, chat. Yeah, so we will. Is there some shady stuff going on? Is a juror corrupted? The chat was going crazy. I remember, like, right when they said the verdict was announced, the chat went to to 1,000 to 36,000 people, and it was going insane. But I said, shout out, although, like, with Brian Steele, I really admired him from the YSL trial, and shout out to Brian Steele, and he's very good at what he does. He's excellent at his job. And they're concerned about Rico, so it's like with Rico, they're not really certain about if it's guilty or not. That's a cool tent. Looks like a Middle East type tent. Miranda, the verdict in Diddy is not known yet. Yeah, and I think that yeah, I love Brian Steele. He is so little and so cute. Yeah, definitely. The verdict in Diddy has not been announced yet, but the on count one, they have not announced it. They have not come to a conclusion on the first one. So they allegedly have come to 2 and 5, but it's not been announced. So there might as well be no verdict, technically. So on count one, there have not come to a situation. It's been not come to an agreement. It's like hung for right now. So they're doing the Allen charges to get the jury back and deliberate. You're welcome, Randa. Yeah, and going here, yeah, that is another cool site. That was a bunch of shooting stars. Now, in another thing that I have seen is where I am is a shooting stars. I love to see the shooting stars, but in this area it would be even more intense. You know, it looks like a oh kinds of different colors and just like goes across the sky. I did see the green comet at the right place at the right time. I did see the green comet. And thoughts on the keep KB pleading out. I'm sad for the fam. It saves them a trial, though I don't know. Okay, so Aaron, I think with Koberger, it's shocking. He's vile and wicked. And with Koberger, he I think it's good that he'll be locked up the rest of his life with no plea. Usually you can you can appeal a life sentence, but in this situation where there's a plea, you can't get out of it. So he'll be locked up, and that's a good thing. The families don't have to go through a trial. But two of the families are upset about it, and are upset with the state, the prosecution, because they want him to have a trial and be shot in the death penalty. Yeah, and Libby said yes. They agreed on 3 charges, so those have a verdict. And one charge they couldn't agree on. Thank you, Libby. That's true. Yeah, it's tragic all around, definitely. Yes, and also all the grifters and the people that want to cause trouble in the chat room are going to be lost now because they can't go cause BS in that trial. Remy, that is heartbreaking. You reopened the case and did not the done that, and I will win. I am fierce. I won't back down. Miranda, you are excellent, fighting like a lioness for your cub, and that's horrible, horrid that that occurred. Okay, Remy, understood. Yeah, everyone was waiting on the BK trial. Yeah, everyone was. We're all excited for August to come around, and we're all gonna watch this trial and have a big, an epic was gonna happen. An epic was gonna happen. It was gonna be quite interesting. Libby, I was not looking forward to it, so I'm relieved. Let's get Donna. I want to watch hers. Yeah, just two families are mad. Just two. Scared. Donna Adelson. Amen, Remy. Amen. Yeah, Miranda, keep yourself safe. You're. It's great that you're fighting for your son. It just these people sound insane. They definitely. All right, this is an interesting concept right here. Yes, Libby, we talk about and Moki is also very invested in that trial. Yeah, Libby, we have taken a lot of interest in the Preppy trial, and he took the stand and he finished the stand today, and there's been a mixed reaction about it. Yeah, so he seemed. They said he seemed shy, or that he needed to speak up in the mic. So that was something that we were commenting on. You're sitting on him, scared, scared. Yeah, hopefully they pick up the new trial. Donna Adelson is charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation, and the contract of deleting Markle, her former son-in-law. Miranda said, "I've heard a case where women sat on a child, a female, and ended her life. I never have been the same again." Yeah, absolutely. Miranda says, "God bless you all." Amen, Miranda. Thank you for having that kind word. God bless the chat indeed. Amen. Thank you for that. And also, Libby says, the Squid Games. All right, so God be with you all. The Squid Games. Okay, so I'm not familiar with the Squid Games, but that would be interesting to see if whenever it comes on. Libby says, "What's that sound, alien?" Scared. What sound? There could be a sound from the game that I have on in the back that was on from before. If it sounds like trumpet type music, but besides that, I don't know of any other noises. Yes, Sheki. Facts. Yeah, I know about the Squid Games. I know about the Squid Games. I've seen the Squid Games before. I've seen it before. All right. Let's see what the updates are with my boy Diddy. Scared. I'm looking through something. Let's see. Okay, family focus. Court today began and ended with interactions between Combs and his mother. Before. Scared. Thanks, Libby. Scared. Scared. Yeah, scared. Ski-aired. Ski-aired. Family focus. Court today began and ended with interactions between Combs and his mother before leaving the courtroom. Yo, what's up? Scared? Hello, Regina. It's great to see you. We are talking about a couple of different things, including some trials, including the Diddy trial and the other ones that we're watching and stuff about nature. Court today began and ended with interactions between Combs and his mother. Before leaving the courtroom, with marshals this morning while on the court adjourned, Combs stopped to talk to his mother, Janice Combs. He told her this morning to relax and that it's going to be all right. And then after the jury was dismissed for the day in the afternoon and before Combs left the courtrooms, he reiterated to his mother that he'll be all right and also whispered to his 6 adult Christians seated in the second row behind him. Miranda says, absolutely. I'm watching a ton of how to talk to judges incorrectly and not just being the bad parent. That's very wise, Miranda, very wise. And Libby said that sound. All right, I'm back. I am back. So, I had too many tabs open, but I'm okay. I had too many tabs open, but I got rid of them. Okay. So, basically, with so Libby, it's scared. And I say, scared. Or, ski-aired. Or, scared. It's like a drop that I do with my own voice. Yes, the Trialholics. Libby, lots of work to do, Remy. That's so weird. Oh, I can't wait. And I'm watching that, so Preppy Boy probably do Verdict Watch in the afternoon, the Diddy in the morning. Right. Sorry, bringing up the bad parents. Oh, I can't wait. Okay. Scared. 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 Alright, then the other ones. Ski-aired. 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 And scared. Scared. Shout out to Scared. Yeah. Oh, we're having a scared marathon up in here. Scared. Duskrut. Duskrut. I'm an alien. Scared. Scared. All right, so Remy said "scared" in my pip voice. Oh yeah, I like that, Remy. Scared. Yeah, in Remy's pimp voice. Yep. Scared. Yeah, pimp voice. Scared. I could also make other noises. That's a pigeon. So that is. Hey Beans, great to see you. Skirt. Skirt. Kitten voice. Skirt. Skirt. All right, and then we have. Oh yeah, so basically, I can make a pigeon noise. So like, it's a bird, you know, like a pigeon. Also, it sounds like an owl. I remember one time a past girlfriend told me I would be an owl if I was supposed to be a bird. So there you go. I can make the pigeon noises. Yeah, so I can do that and go. Yeah, like an owl. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm part owl. Scared. I personally think owls are really cool, but I like scary things. Beans. We are talking about a variety of different things. We're talking about the Diddy trial. So with Diddy on 2 to 5 counts, so 2, 3, 4, 5, there's a verdict, but the verdict hasn't come in yet. Now on count 1, which is Rico, they haven't come to a decision with that one. So tomorrow, that the jury in Diddy is going to continue deliberations to see if they could get the first count. And with that count in the Diddy trial, we were watching that today, and the trial picked up from like 1,000 to 36,000 people, like in a second. And we're excited to see a verdict. And New York City was very rainy today, and there's a lot of cars and vehicles honking and beeping really loud in front of the camera. And you had this situation where the jury wanted to go home, so they went home, but they were doing the Allen charges to get, so they did the Allen charges, so that what that does, it promotes the jury to keep on deliberating. Or else what they could have done, or possibly what do in a certain scenario, is read the rest of the verdicts and not the other verdict. Today at the Diddy trial, it seems that, and Libby says the chat was insane, couldn't read shield, and everyone got scared. I feel like Gary from SpongeBob, where he would go meow, 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 meow for a talent show, and everyone thought it was cool because everyone likes it when I say scared. Moki said, I will gotta go. Nice chatting with all of you. Hope to see you all in court tomorrow. Okay. Moki, peace, Moki. Yeah, and we're talking about the Preppy trial. You know, that he did good at he did good at a part of it, but then another part he didn't really do good at, and people kind of doubt like what he was saying. What in the Preppy trial, the kid that stabbed some other kids, he took the stand and he was being, you know, that's what they had to do to try to determine what if he was guilty or not. But it's usually recommended for a defendant to not take the stand. It's usually a problem. All right, Aaron. Good night to you, and take care. Thank you for coming. All right. All right. So that is what we're talking about, and also Beans. We were talking about the different landscapes and like the night sky in different places, and about sand dunes and these different parks where they have these different sand dunes and stuff. Because the nature is quite fascinating. Because we're talking about like the dust storms, and they had them in America too. So with the dust storms, they are in the Mojave Desert, because it's like the Middle East or North Africa and Australia. So America has a very eclectic landscape. All right, so with Diddy, that's the update, and also Beans. I don't know if I told you this, if you were here for it, but there is a situation where at the Diddy trial of on Friday or Thursday, where I thought I heard somebody screaming "Free Deke, Free Deke," which it's another word that's kind of like a vulgar word. I'm like, why are they saying that outside of a courthouse? This is going wild. But it was actually a free Diddy. I thought he meant something else. Like, it was protesters outside the courthouse, and it's like free D, free. I'm like, what? Oh, that's a vulgar thing to say outside a courthouse. But no, it's not what I thought. It was free Diddy. So another thing that occurred was yesterday. There was a couple of freak a leak. Skirt, scared, skirt, scared. So there's a guy yesterday that was talking about like white and black people and like political correctness or something, and he was talking about this situation where he was like, white homelessness, white homelessness, black homelessness. And a guy kept screaming and ranting about Diddy, freeing him, the court system. He was screaming at the top of his lungs. Yeah, and Beans, he was screaming at the top of his lungs. This was like yesterday. It was like something like black homelessness, man. White homelessness. And he wanted the whites to be homeless and the blacks to be homeless. And he doesn't say homeless, he says homelessless. Yeah, you remember that, Libby? Yeah. And it's like it was very hot and the sun makes men mad. And then you had this other situation where on Friday, he did something where these people were handing out Britney Spears posters with buttons, with tape on her mouth, and there was some like AI picture created and something about Britney Spears, and she was showing it to the camera. Sierra was her name. She was showing it to the camera, and it was like, it's wild. Like, there's a whole circus going over there in front of the courthouse, and and it was absolutely wild. It's like she was just holding it to the camera. It's like this whole this courthouse in New York City. You're gonna hold everybody hostage and show all these people these stuff, and about Britney Spears. You have the people that are protesting. Well, I couldn't stop laughing about free Diddy. I'm like, free Deke, what? It was just hilarious. I just couldn't. My virgin ears could not stand what I was hearing. Oh, there were homeless people. I'm not laughing at homeless people, but there were homeless people. Black homelessness. White homelessness. And they were screaming and ranting at the top of their lungs. And Libby says, I was so sad. He was freaking 16, young, and that are drinking and then fighting, and he could have lost his mind for a moment and did what he did. I feel sorry for the kids and the parents. I do, Libby. It's tragic to have somebody lost like that and somebody that goes down in that tragic way. It's just completely atrocious and just a sad story all around. Every homeless skirt, scared. scared. And also, Beans, Brian Koberger pleaded guilty, and he's going to take a plea deal and have a sentencing tomorrow. Usually, you can have in a plea deal, you don't get to appeal it, but usually you can appeal a life sentence. But in this situation, he can't appeal it. And he has like a disturbing look in his eye. Like he has like a stare to him. And he just looks like somebody he looks kind of like the Sandy Hook shooter. They'll have like that blank stare to them. I'm talking about male deleters, like men that do these things. Like I said, all men. And, like when people don't regulate their emotions and find emotional control, you'll get things like this happen. And kids' brains aren't fully developed until 26. Thank you, Libby. Yeah, and the kid on the stand, he seems so innocent. He seems so innocent. And it's really unfortunate. Like, the preppy kid reminds me of a kid from a person from the Twilight Zone. And although the preppy kid has nothing to do with say, like, Hitler or anything, it was a Hitler episode. And basically, the guy was... He was mentored by an older Jewish man, and then he would have, like... He talked like a young boy. That's like how the guy on the stand was talking similar to him. That's basically the point of me mentioning that. And he said that the kid, the one on the stand, he seemed very innocent. It has innocence to him. I don't know what caused him to do that, but it's, we all make mistakes, do things we shouldn't be doing, but it's a tragic story all around. You believe the poor baby, yeah. And, hopefully this gets resolved, this trial, and... it's really tragic because people had their whole lives ahead of them. Had their entire lives ahead of them. But they go and backstab, this, and they make a decision that they'll regret the rest of their lives. It's very unfortunate, but as I said, it's a sad story all around. Let's see. Libby said, but then again, I didn't watch the trials, just his part. Oh, okay. Understood. And as I said, Brian Koberger was most likely trying to imitate or emulate Ted Bundy, because he did the same type of murder. And the Chi Omega sorority attacks that he did. And let's see here. Let's reload. Because with the Chi Omega, that's where he went and attacked that's where he attacked in Florida. Ted Bundy, he attacked the college kids. You're welcome, Beans. What y'all watching? Y'all looking for a place to go camping? Oh, okay. So what we were watching before, it was before you came here. Let's see if I can find this picture specifically. And I just had it a moment ago. Anyway. So, but anyway, this is Brian Koberger. So, we were talking about the desert and the sand dunes. And then I love the night sky and nature. So that is when we were watching the different desert with the night sky with all the stars and stuff like that. And chat was giving their insight on the different places that have good sights to see. So yeah, we're talking about camping, but we're mainly talking about the landscapes and like experiencing nature. As I said, he's a lot like Bundy. You know, he emulated Bundy too. Yeah. Let's see. The other, this is the one I wanted to show. Let's see. Huh. Okay, it's not going to do that for me. Okay. Oh, yeah. So, going to put that here. Let's see, there's a link. Okay. We'll put it here. All right, this is his scary eyes. And Libby says, my husband's family lives in Phoenix, Arizona. I heard something about sandstorms. Yeah, there were sandstorms that were going on that we are talking about earlier, and Remy was confused because she didn't know that there's sand dunes, there is sandstorms in the desert. But I said, yep, America has them. And this is the Sandy Hook shooter, just for a comparison. So this is the Sandy Hook shooter, and this is Brian Koberger. You see, they both have that, in my opinion, they both have that blank look in their face, in their eyes. Right? So you got that guy, and they both have that same look. Right? And then, as he's compared to Ted Bundy, Ted Bundy's very disturbing looking in his eyes. Bundy, and you see, this is Bundy. You know, he has this cold look in his eyes. Skirt. And this guy, who, you know, has been known to be compared to Bundy, yeah, they have that same same look in their eyes. There's this cold, dead look in their face. See. Yeah. Like that one there. Yeah, the crazy eyes. Yeah, this one especially, they just have, you know, there's nothing going on. Just blankness. There is one picture of Bundy I remember from a while back. I saw it was one of the newer pictures that were released, and his eyes look wide as a full moon, and he looked crazy. He's had a crazy smile on his face. Yeah, so just I'm like, how could anybody like, you know, that guy certainly did it. And then we got Charles Manson too. I'm using this as an example of people that have a nasty look in their face, because especially from a religious perspective, the eyes are the windows to the soul. And you see that Charles Manson has these crazy eyes, and so does he. They all have this nutty look in their face, and especially in the eyes. That was Charles Manson. Like, he was still a bad guy, but that was like when he was before this other time period of his life when he was doing these murders. But he was still bad back then. That was Charles Manson before, and that was him afterwards. And there you go. They all have like a nutty look in their eyes. Just my point. Yep, and the Manson girls that did the responsible for a massacre, pretty much. They're trying to start an alleged race war, but it didn't work, and that they would rule the world. And he says he didn't do it, and then he said he did do it, but he was like, he is told to write something witchy. And he does all these kind of weird stuff, like in interviews ago. That's what Charles Manson did. That's what Manson did in his interviews. He'd make all kinds of weird faces. And one time he was like, "I'm nobody. I'm nobody." And like he would just completely troll the interviewer, and he was obsessed with attention. So yeah, just the thing is with these people, the eyes are the windows to the soul. Beans, that is possible that when you know when someone did something, you might be more, I'd say, hyper analyzing their looks. Where it might, and a lot of people say this about Bundy, for instance, that if you didn't know that he was doing something wrong, people would think he's a nice guy. And this is a specific picture of him. Now, if I didn't know who this person was in this specific photo, I would think it's a very menacing look, a very blank look. You could still see people that are not doing any crime that have a look like that that I would think is suspicious, even if they didn't do anything wrong. And the aura and the vibe that people give off. But there are people that are very good at hiding it and disguising it with charm, and you might not notice it right away. But I do think that, yes, we know that they did something, so we're going to be noticing it and looking for it, but it's still there. And also, another thing is that there are people that have done nothing wrong that have a look to them. Like, say somebody, a lot of stories that I hear about, they'll see somebody that looks suspicious, that looks kind of strange. Something about them is not right. And somebody may not have creepy eyes like that, but they give off something similar, like an energy or something. You may not notice it. For instance, Bundy had a lot of victims because he had a superficial charm to him. So he was like this guy in the picture, but he was able to kind of charm them into thinking that he was cool. But as I said, it depends on the opinion of a person. You may not be able to notice it. I think he would look suspicious if I didn't know who he was. In this specific photo, I understand he's like incarcerated and stuff, and it was a certain photo, but he may not be able to tell. But some people may not be able to tell better than others. So, as I said, and when they seem to get caught, they seem to show it off a little bit more. Now, maybe you wouldn't be able to tell. It just depends. Like with Kohberger, let's see some other pictures of him. Like, say like this with Kohberger. He just looks like a regular guy there, but he still has weird eyes, but maybe somebody wouldn't pay much attention to him. He has weird eyes, but maybe somebody wouldn't pay much attention to him if he was just like there. Like there. You see how he's smiling there, and he's trying with a thumbs up. Somebody may not be able to catch that off the bat. And remember, the devil can appear as an angel of light. Now, the eyes are also the windows to the soul, and some people may be able to notice it. Some people may not be able to notice it. With Bundy, for instance, there were situations where there were people that he tried to abduct, but they would run away from him right when they saw him because they noticed there was something weird about him. There were people that didn't know who he was, that saw him walking around, that thought he was a creep. Yeah, that didn't know anything about him. It just depends on the person. You may not always be able to tell. But thank you, Beana. That's a very good question. And sometimes you may not be able to pick up on it, especially if they didn't do anything wrong. It just depends. And may God give us the sixth sense, and the intuition to know if we're encountering a person we should stay away from. Let's say before jail. I've never noticed anything like my husband can look right through people. Ah, okay, Libby. Yes, some people can. We all have our talents, and we all have our talents and weaknesses. We all have our pros and cons, and that's why we all work together, and that really helps out the situation. So, and Libby says, I've never noticed anything like my husband can look like through people. Some people can notice it, some people can't. And so many crazy serial deleters in the world, I just don't trust anyone. I don't trust anyone either, Libby. And basically, like, say here, like, I don't know, would somebody see that guy and think that he's kind of strange looking in the eyes? Hello, Matt. Good to see you, buddy. He says you should take a cold reading class. It's very helpful for picking up on details and clues you might not have thought to look for. Oh, thank you, Matt, for that suggestion. Like, maybe somebody wouldn't think that guy is weird because he's smiling or he looks like normal looking. This is before he was incarcerated. Louis says, me and my husband watched a movie called The Sacrament. Have y'all seen that movie? I have not seen it. Alright, this is Kohberger before he was incarcerated. Like, before he was younger. That's him in his yearbook. As I said, his family will have to live with that the rest of his life about what he allegedly has done. Also, this is him when he was doing a exercise at school for some military thing group that came over to to the school at a point. So yeah, that was him doing some push-ups. What exactly was going on here? Idaho suspect Brian Kohberger was addicted to heroin, says former friends of reason for deleting revealed. Alright, so basically he was addicted to heroin. Like, that was back when he was in high school. Let's see. Okay. There we go. So he also had issues with drugs. That's another picture of him. Just depends. And that was him with his attorney. Alright, and also for those coming in, with Diddy, I know, Matt. I know. I don't. It looks like some people that should have been saying what was going on didn't say it. So, like, in the media. So the media should have told you. But yeah, I'm here to say that he was addicted to heroin. Libby says, I wish these deleters would talk about what made them do this. Like, just tell us what made you delete these people. He must be on meth now. Scared. And so with the Diddy trial, for those just coming in, they have not made a decision on the first count. The jury has not made a decision on the first count. But on the 2 to 5 counts, they have a verdict already. They'll continue it tomorrow morning. You think people were using Diddy. Understood. And yeah, you never know. That's why we have to have a trial to show what's going on. Because I'm sure, like in Hollywood, for instance, like during the Depp trial, we would talk about how this situation happened where I met somebody that allegedly was acted with Depp in 21 Jump Street that was in the chat. And I was telling him my theory that with Heard, which is a completely different situation to this, that a lot of times young stars like will try to use, like, say some ladies might try to use they'll try to go with famous actors who to get something out of them. So basically, in layman's terms, so you have a famous actor, then you have these young actresses that will go with the actor to get something out of them. So I don't deny that that could have occurred. I don't know, Libby. It's possible. But something that he told me that happened, especially in the 90s, I don't know. But yeah, definitely possible. So basically with Diddy, they have not found a verdict yet with count 1, but on count 2 to 5, there is a verdict. But when it happened, it was a surprise. And the chat went to 1,000 to 38,000 people, and it was just going and going and just going very fast. It was really intense. It was really crazy. So, that was a story, and we'll see tomorrow. There's a verdict with Diddy. So they're doing the Allen charges. With the Allen charges, they're going to see if getting the jury to continue a verdict, because what they could have done was show what the verdicts were. Yeah, exactly, Chucky. And then not the verdict that wasn't decided. So it's possible it could be a hung jury. And another thing that happened was there was a juror 25 yesterday. He was a scientist. He was into climate change, and he did not understand the jury instructions. So he caused a ruckus yesterday, and then they're asking about questions with the drugs and stuff like that, because the problem is right now they're trying to see if RICO charges count in the situation. Now, Brian Steele, which is the attorney for Thug, was the attorney for Thug, but is now the attorney for Diddy. So Brian Steele is now the attorney for Thug. Sorry, I'm going to repeat that. Brian Steele is now the attorney for Diddy. Not the lead attorney, but he's the attorney. Now, I will say that Steele is very charming, very charismatic, and he's very good with his clients. So, as I said, I admire Brian Steele. He's very good at what he's doing. And with the RICO charges, I think that he contributed to them being confused if he did RICO or not. You can only have to convict him on one thing to get RICO. And Miranda, I don't think that Libby's denying that. She was talking about like a separate situation, but basically, I do think with Diddy, for instance, I do agree with you, Miranda. He was involved in that. Now, were there people that could have done things like try to take, and a lot of times in Hollywood, people take advantage of each other and stuff like that. That's what she was referring to. What Libby was referring to, not about those other situations that everybody pretty much agrees about that. With that Diddy did some things he shouldn't have been doing, with the children and stuff. So thank you, Miranda, for your commentary. So yeah, no one's denying that, Miranda. And she was talking about people could have a separate situation where people could have used them, or could have. There's sometimes in Hollywood there's people that do that. It's a different situation. It happens to a lot of people in Hollywood. But anyway, so Libby says, I got a doctor's appointment at 9 a.m. in the morning, so I will tune in at about 10 a.m. and I will see y'all in court. I need to get some sleep. God bless. What she said was, good night, y'all, aliens. Skirty. Thank you, Libby. Have a very good night. Have a good time tomorrow. Good luck at your appointment tomorrow. And looking forward to see you in court tomorrow. Yeah, Miranda, it is a very big iceberg. Did he or didn't he? I guess we'll find out tomorrow. Exactly, Matt. We'll see, because people are saying that the verdict was not guilty. So that's what Jesse was saying. Jesse was saying that he was not guilty on one of the counts. He didn't think that he was guilty on one of the charges. But we don't really know. We're all speculating. We will find out tomorrow if he's guilty or not, because a jury could be unpredictable. Scared. So with the jury being unpredictable, you have to determine that we do not know for sure what will happen tomorrow. It could go either way. I don't know. Sim from 70 Show. And Miranda said, Libby, OMG, yes, about the deleting people who are so famous. Tupac, women stars. My heart hurts for all of them, true. Yeah, you see, Miranda, I learned about Tupac because Eminem was talking about it when he was making his comeback song to Machine Gun Kelly. So I like Tupac, and I think it's unfortunate that Pac got deleted before. Like, he could have been around when I was coming up and been one of the rappers that we listened to. So with Pac, I think he deleted Pac, and also what my buddy Overtime and I were talking about is that he probably deleted Biggie too. So I'm not a big fan of Diddy because of what he allegedly has done. But we'll see. And Libby says, I'm with you, Miranda. They might be watching him for that and bring charges up. Yeah, they might bring other charges on him. Yeah. All right, night. Skirty. Night. All right, Libby. Thank you for tuning in. See you tomorrow. So Brian Steele, I said he's excellent. He's an excellent attorney. But like I said, everybody deserves a fair trial, and that's why I like to see different opinions and takes. Oh, hello, Autumn. It's good to see you. Welcome to the chat. And you say it's fake news? Okay. And I'm all for seeing what the truth is. As I said, it's all alleged. We have to see what happens. But as I said, with Diddy, I don't want to have. As I said, I look at it without bias, and I'm just focused on this specific case that is on the table here. So, did he do RICO? Did he not do RICO? And I said, I think Brian Steele has done a great job at defending people in general. People in general. So on one, okay, Autumn. As I said, I don't know. So I don't. I wouldn't know. So thank you, Autumn, for your rebuttal on that. Where's your baby oil, buddy? Here you go. Enjoy yourself. There you go, buddy. Enjoy yourself. He was. He played Steve Jobs, I think, in a movie. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Yeah, he was Steve Jobs in a movie. It looks like he was pretty close with. It looks like Ashton Kutcher was pretty close to Diddy. Let's see. Dude, where's my car? Don't require baby oil. Okay. And right here, so it looks like they. So it looks like he was a close with a baby oil, right there, and he's giving him a piggyback ride. Dude, where's my car? Came out 25 years ago. Yike. Yeah. Okay. 25 years ago. Okay. Yeah, that is him. That's Diddy giving him a piggyback ride. That's him and Diddy having some fun. So they went to the freak offs. It looks like they were pretty close friends, it seems, from what I'm seeing here. And you got this right here. I'm scared. Yeah, and see right here, we're looking at so that's like him there compared. Let's see what he did with Diddy. Ashton Kutcher and Sean Diddy Combs have been friends for many years. Their connection originating from their time on MTV on MTV shows in the early 2000s. Kutcher was known for hosting Punk Punk D Punk D, while Combs was involved in making the band. However, their association has drawn scrutiny recently due to the serious allegations and legal trouble surrounding Diddy. Kutcher's past comments about Diddy's parties, reports of his attendance at events including the co-hosting a white party in 2009. While sources close to Kutcher have denied his involvement, any illegal activities stated, "You just got punked." Alright. While sources close to Kutcher have denied his involvement, any illegal activities, and stated he is innocent connected to the allegations, speculation has emerged regarding the possibility of him being called to testify in the ongoing legal proceedings against Diddy. Some reporters suggest that Kutcher regrets his fellowship with Diddy in light of the unfolding scandal. That show was so popular before the internet. Yeah, Hollywood is icky. Yeah. I would disagree, Matt. A lot of people say Brussels sprouts are icky. My past aunt, she didn't like Brussels sprouts. I think they're okay, but I'm an alien, so I'm a little bit different. It's important to note that Kutcher had not been formally implicated in the accusations against Diddy, and his representatives have maintained his innocence. The legal battles against Diddy are going are ongoing, and the extent of which Kutcher might have been involved or required to testify remains uncertain. Asparagus is very good. That's very cool. Shecky says he eats almost everything. Let's see what this is about. Prosciutto wrapped asparagus is the best. Oh, that sounds very delicious, Matt. Alrighty. Ashton Kutcher slammed after resurfaced video shows him laughing about Diddy's parties. Can't tell. Ashton Kutcher was slammed by fans after a resurfaced video showed the actor laughing off a question about Diddy's notorious parties, sparking criticism. Over their friendship in the wake of the Mongols' arrest on sex trafficking charges, Ashton was 46 and was asked to shed light on Diddy's infamous parties and resurfaced 2019 Hot Ones segment. Quote, I've got a lot I can't tell, he replied with a smile before pausing to consider his next statement. Can't tell that one either. I'm cycling through them. All right. Ashton 46 was asked to shed light on Diddy's infamous parties in resurfaced 2019 Hot Ones segment. I've got a lot I can tell, he replied with the smile before pausing to consider his next statement. Quote, can't tell that one either. I'm cycling through them. Although it is unclear which festivities Ashton attended, he added Diddy party stories, weird man. All those Diddy buddies all seem creepy. That's just me. Makes sense to me. Although this is unclear of the festivities Ashton attended, he added Diddy party stories, weird man. Fans were quick to call out the sitcom actor and question Ashton's friendship with disgraced rapper. The real question is why Diddy felt comfortable enough to invite Kutcher to in the first place. One user wrote, meanwhile another one added, sounds like a witness to me. That 70s show alum is well known advocates against human trafficking, which is why he is facing backlash as resurfaced clip doesn't reflect well on him, especially with Diddy 54 currently being held without bond, charges including racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and transportation for the prosecution. Diddy was arrested on Monday, September 16, by Homeland Security after a months long investigation that included raids on his mansion in Los Angeles and Miami. According to an indictment obtained in touch, Bad Boy Records founder is accused of manipulating and luring women to participate in freak-offs, which are carefully arranged, even involving sexual activities with female victims and male commercial sex workers from 2009 to the present day. During the searches for his home, law enforcement seized various freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, according to the paperwork. All right, that's a close-up of them. The indictment also accused the last night arrest of verbal, physical, and sexual abuse, as well as the consistent and widespread parent of mistreatment toward women. Widespread pattern of mistreatment towards women. To do so, Diddy relied on his employees, resources, and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, and bribery, and obstruction of justice. Following his arrest, Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnafilio, maintained his innocence, telling TMZ, "We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what is believed to be an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office. Sean Diddy Combs is a music and self-made entrepreneur, loving family man, proven philanthropist who spent the last 30 years building an empire, adoring his children, and working to uplift the black community." I need a girl, end quote. Artist appeared in court on Wednesday, September 18, offering $48 million Miami home and his mother's house as collateral in the appeal against the bond details. He also agreed to submit the 2 weekly drug tests if released. However, his request was denied after federal prosecutors argue that Diddy be kept in custody. They argue that he previously contacted witnesses and could do so again if released on bail, potentially obstruction of the case. Diddy is currently being held at the Brooklyn Metropolitan Detention Center, where he was placed on self-deletion watch and was awaiting. This is when he was awaiting his trial. Diddy's lawyers clarified that his client was not trying to delete himself, but the directive was a route to measure a new high-profile inmate. TMZ reported on September 19. Yeah, so there you go. That is like the backstory about Ashton Kutcher. Right, and a lot of times in correctional institutions, they'll have the self-deletion watch. So that is interesting. I should say. Okay, that done. Right, so that was the information on Diddy, and we'll see if they come with a verdict tomorrow. With the Diddler. My reaction was that the Diddy trial has been absolutely crazy. And seeing the circus outside of the courthouse where you have people, it's like a medieval festival of some kind, a spectacle, or where all these people just come out and yell at the courthouse all day, including the homeless people. So that has been interesting. So I think that we do not know what will happen. It's best to view any defendant or any trial without emotion or bias to get the right answer, because sometimes there could be manipulations with scenes and stuff can be used for manipulation. So, and it seems the majority of people are against Diddy, but there are some that are support him or think that he's not innocent but may not be guilty of the crimes that he's allegedly accused of. But as I said, we respect the system, and we do not know what the jury's going to do, because a lot of times the jury will do things very surprising that you wouldn't think they would do. Like the jury will do stuff. Like I'm like, somebody is for sure innocent. Somebody's for sure innocent. Scared. But they're guilty. Somebody's guilty for sure. Scared. But they found innocent. So people can speculate, but it is extremely unpredictable about what exactly is going to occur in this trial. So yeah, I just think that, the victims, the alleged victims. Hopefully, they can find peace with this, and whatever happens, happens. And I think that if he were to get out, hypothetically, if he were to somehow be able to escape this situation and get off free, that he would be able to. His reputation will be completely tarnished. He probably will go out, like, they're trying to ask the people, like, what are they going to ask? What are they going to ask the people outside? So, like, there's usually like a briefing that occurs, and you might have Brian Steele talk, or one of the attorneys, and then you're going to have him talk. But it's possible that Diddy may be very vocal if he wins, so he's going to go out and talk about his side of the story. I'm sure it would be lucrative, also. Or he gets locked up, and will send a message to anybody else that collaborated with him to do things that were not right, and other stars that did things that weren't right like that. And people are starting to crack down on the Holly weirdos. Alright, so as I said, we have to wait and see what happens with that. Yeah, that's the situation with Diddy. Okay. And the other trials that we're watching. The Joshua Tree is an iconic plant of the Mojave Desert, named after Joshua Tree National Park, where its defining feature is its member of agave family, not a true tree, and is known for its distinctive branches from the ability to thrive in harsh desert conditions. All right, and now the Joshua Tree is a place for people to do camping, but it's also a tree itself. Habitat: Joshua trees are native to the Mojave Desert in the southwestern United States, including parts of California, Arizona, Nevada, and Utah. They are known for their unique branching structure and leaves and clustered at the ends of the branch. They can grow up to 45 feet tall and live for hundreds of years, with some reportedly living over 1,000 years. Wow. Hello, Shell. It's good to see you. All right, Shell. So basically, what we were talking about was the Diddy trial. A couple of trials I've been keeping up with, and 2 and 5. They found verdicts for 2 and 5, but not for his first count yet. So they're going to see about completing the jury instructions tomorrow to get him a verdict. And also, Brian Koberger pleaded guilty, and there's mixed reactions about that. And hello, Shell. Great to see you as always. So that's what we were, discussing, and how Brian Koberger has the same type of stare in his eyes, similar to like Charles Manson and Bundy, and he reminds you of the Parkland shooter. So like all these people kind of seemed to have had these very disturbing creepiness in their eyes. So it was just something else we were going over before, and it was a good time, and everybody got scared. Scared. All right. So what I'm going to do now is going to talk a little bit about we're talking before, as well as sand dunes, because in the desert there's these different parks, that we're referring to. Yes, the eyes are the gateway to the soul. Amen. So Oh, hello, Greg. Good to see you, buddy. All right, so and I like to see the different stars and stuff at night. So we're talking about the sand dunes because there's a dust storm going on in Nevada. So there, one of the viewers in Europe didn't know that America would have sandstorms, but they can have sandstorms. We were talking about it, and we were showing this different ranges at night because I like nighttime and the stars and stuff. So we were talking about different areas where they have sand dunes and different parks for like camping and things like that, in conjunction with the other things that we are referring to. Because because America has a very eclectic terrain, all kinds of different terrains and things around, and very fascinating indeed. So I'm going to talk. So we talked about that, and now we're going to be referring to Joshua Tree National Park. I'm going to read about this information for a little bit. The earliest known residents of the land and around what later became what later became Joshua Tree National Park were the people of the Pinto culture who lived and hunted here between 8,000 and 4,000 BCE. And also, Shell, the chat was going wild when the verdict was announced. And there's a juror that didn't understand the jury instructions. He was a scientist. And there's people the past few days, homeless people, that have been chanting outside the courthouse about Diddy and ranting about homeless people. And because they're homeless themselves. And it's been a wild watching the Diddy trials. It's been very interesting. Shell says, Shecky, I took Ruby up to Romanos today, and my oldest daughter and granddaughter came with me. We were gone all day, fun times. Oh, Shell, I'm glad that y'all had a fun time. That is fantastic. Their stone tools, these ancient people, points to discover that the Pinto Basin of the 1930s, suggesting that they hunted game, gathered seasonal plants, but little else is known about them. Later residents included the Serrano and Chaulea and Chim Uvi. The people, all three, lived in the same village in or near water, particularly the oasis of Mara and what now is Aboriginals, later called Twin Tynan palms. Scared. Scared. They subsidized large and plant food supplemented by small game, amphibians, and reptiles while using their other plants for making medicines, bows, arrows, and baskets and other articles of daily life. All four groups of the Mojaves used the local resources as they traveled along the trails between Colorado River and the Pacific coast of the 21st century. Small numbers of all four people live in the region near the park in 20, at 29 Palms band of Mission Indians, descendant of the Chem Hulvi. Hello, Primal. It's great to see you. Hey man, Primal, I've been doing very well and been streaming and keeping up with trials with the Diddy trial and the other ones that are going on and doing stuff on YouTube. So, and kind of doing stuff with the garden, but mostly with YouTube stuff. So, yeah, Primal, I've been doing very well. And how are you, Primal? I hope that you're also doing well too. And a shout out to Gizmo. I'm glad you came here to tell me hello. In 1772, a group of Spaniards led by Pedro Fagus made the first European sighting of Joshua trees while pursuing native converts to who had Christianity who had run away from mission in San Diego. And Primal says, "I know I said I probably won't be back for a while, but I decided to take a break. Life's been heck." Yeah, life sometimes could hit you in the head with a brick. It could, definitely life can be definitely rough. Me and my girlfriend broke up. I'm taking a break from college. Okay, Primal. Understood. And do whatever you feel is best. I believe that the dots will connect in the future. And you just do you. And, it's very unfortunate that that happened. And I hope that in time will heal and everything will make sense later. In pain, it's kind of like when a muscle breaks, you can gain strength as time goes on, through pain.
Wishing you better days ahead.
Yeah, I did say that in a certain way. And wishing you better days ahead. And also, Shell says, I caught a frog today at. Oh, that's very cool, Shell. At the lake up in Roman Nose, believe it or not, there was some snow still up there. Not much, but some. Shell, that is wild that there's still some snow up there. I guess the weather. I guess the weather was really, is right where the snow can kind of stay like that. Yeah, Matt, I do agree with that. Yeah, and yeah, chat. Thanks for showing primal love. That's very tough to go through a relationship that doesn't work. It's very rough. And wishing you the best primal during this dark time, and thank you for letting us know. And you're very cool. I mean, a girl would be foolish to break up with you. Yeah, so shout out to chat showing love to Primal. Say Miranda says I had my Britney Spears meltdown and colored my hair back black. LMAO. Love it. No more colored hair. It's annoying. Okay. Okay. Understood. Lots of fish in the sea. No floundering allowed. Yeah, right on. And Miranda said, Primal, sorry you're going through a lot. Also holds on to hope. Get out. Do something fun. You're not alone. Too many fish in the sea. Yeah. Mary is probably coming into the chat. She's in the other room, but she's been doing all right. And Matt says, make sure you wear a suit too, Miranda, unless he is a baby, and that would be weird. Yeah. And okay, let's see. He Primal's wondering where you are.
I just got home, and I'll try to get on if I can. I just walked in the door.
All right, she just came home and
Someone said hello.
she said hello
I hope Gizmo's all right.
and hopes that Gizmo's all right. All right, so I'm going to continue reading. And thank you, Primal, for letting me know what was going on. By 1823, the year Mexico achieved independence from Spain, a Mexican expedition from Los Angeles in what is now what was in what was then Alta California, is thought to have explored as far east as Eagle Mountain and what later became the park 3 years later in Jeddah. Smith led a group of American fur trappers and explorers along the nearby Mojave Trail, and others soon to follow 2 decades after the United States defeated Mexico in the Mexican American War and took over half of Mexico's original territory, including California and future Parkland. Wow. Miranda, that's wild. Primal said, he is. I hope I am on vacation now, trying to get away from the crazy things. Oh, okay. Understood, Primal. Okay. Scared. Post 1870. In 1870, white settlers began grazing cattle on the tall grasses that grew in the park in 1888. A gang of cattle rustlers moved into the region near the oasis of Mara, led by brothers James B. and William S. McHaney. They had stolen cattle in a box canyon at a cow camp throughout the region. Ranchers dug wells and built rainwater catchments called tanks, such as White Tank and Baker Dam. And Naren said, I don't want to bring colored hair to a court. What do you think, Alien? How would you dress for court? Miranda, if I was in court, I would wear a suit and, a business attire. Like, say a woman could wear like a dress or some sort of professional outfit with, stuff like that. So, with hair done right, that's how I would say people should dress in court. In 1900, C.O. Colorado Barker, a miner and a cattleman who built the original Baker Dam, later improved by William Bill Keyes, a rancher. Grazing continued in the park through 1945. Barker Dam was allied to the National Register of Historic Places in 1975. Trust for success, always dress. We're going to dress nicely and think and be yourself, and everything's fine. Okay. Between the 1860s and 1840s, miners worked about 300 pit miners, mostly small, in what later became the park. The most successful of the Lost Horse mine produced gold, silver worth about 5 million in today's currency. Johnny Lang and others, the original owners of the Lost Horse mine, instead of the two stamp mill, process ore the site, and next owner J. Day Ryan replaced it with a steam powered mill. Ryan pumped water from his ranch to the mill, cut timber from the nearby hills to the heat water to make steam. Most of the structures associated with the mine fell apart for safety reasons. Rhino says, well, trying to lighten the mood, you could dress like Vanessa from the B movie. That's a good idea. And dress your son a little nice suit and shirt, blue, yellow tie, striped pants. That's a good idea, Primal. And the Hind Valley campgrounds in the park, you can hike in Barker Dam and find petroglyphs. Oh, that's very cool. That you could find that there. I didn't know that. And And it says right here. Oh, okay. That's very cool. They could find those there. Thank you, Primal. I'm glad that you're trying to lighten the mood. Chat is because sometimes you know it's very good to have that brighten up the mood. Very important. How do you all like your steak? Yeah, I would say medium rare. Yeah, and Primal, Sarah and Amanda are doing good. They've just been on a this. Amanda's doing good. I've not heard from her in a while, and Sarah had some stuff going on with her mom, so she was dealing with her mom. It's been a while since I've heard from her. And between the 1860s and 1940s, miners worked about 300 pit mines, mostly small, in what would later become the park. The most successful, the Lost Horse Mine, produced gold, silver worth about 5 million in today's currency. Johnny Lang and others, the original owners of the Lost Horse Mine, installed a two stamp mill process or at the site, and the next owner, T. Day Ryan, replaced it with two stamp steam powered mill, and Ryan pumped water from his ranch to the mill and cut timber from nearby hills to heat water and to make steam. Most of the structures associated with mine fell apart for safety reasons. National Park Service plugged in the mine, which has collapsed. Yes, Primal. Thank you for your good wishes. And the channel has grown a lot, and there's a lot of people that have come here. And shout out to all of you. Appreciate everybody. The Desert Queen mine on Keys Desert Queen Ranch was another productive gold mine in the early 1930s. Keys brought a gasoline powered two stamp mill, the Wall Street Mill, and moved to his ranch process ore. The ranch mill were added to the NRHP in 1975 and the mine in 1976. Some of the mines in the park yielded copper, zinc, and iron. Thank you, Beans. Parnell said, I have something you can talk about, Alien. They're going to stop making pennies and change the $20 bills. Okay. I'll talk about that in a moment. I'm going to get through this little part right here because and then I'll get to that. All right. Thanks, Primal. Thank you, Matt. That's very sweet of you. Yeah, the trial chat wanted me to go live every single day. So what happened was the trial chat really liked my streams a lot, and sometimes there's days where the trials would end early, so they want me to go live all day long because that's when the trials would be ending. And so I went live every single day they wanted me to do it, so I did as they commanded. So yeah, I'm very proud of the growth of the channel. Protection. On August 10, 1936, after Minerva Hyatt and others persuaded the state and federal government to protect the area, President Franklin D. Roosevelt used the power of 1906 Antiquities Act to establish Joshua Tree National Monument, protecting about 825,000 acres. In 1950, the size of the park was reduced by about. Thank you, Matt, for your donation. Thank you. In protection, about in the size 1950 size of the park was reduced by 290,000 acres to open the land more mining. The monument was residing as a national park on October 31, 1994 by Desert Park Act Protection, which also added to 234,000 acres. 2019, the park expanded by 4,518 under provisions included the John D. Diggle Jr. Conservative Management and Reaction Act. The Mojave Desert Land Trust has conserved 10,290 acres within the park. These holdings were privately owned within the national park, which they were able to purchase. They are acquire private properties bordering federally protected properties. MDLT has sold 250,000 no 25,801 acres. I was on the road in Southwest for a couple of weeks now. I think I caught a cold or something. Haggard from the trip, huh? Okay. I've acquired private property in National Park Service, which is more than the similar organization. The higher and cooler Mojave Desert is the special habitat of Yucca bretifolia and Joshua tree, which the park is named. It occurs in patterns from dense forest, distantly spaced specimens. In addition to Joshua tree forest, in the western part of the park includes some of the most interesting geological displays and found in California's desert. And our hills and bare rocks, usually broken up into loess and boulders. These hills are popular among rock climbing and scrambling and enthusiasts. And the flattened between these rocks, hills, and sparsely forested Joshua trees. Together with the boulder piles and skull rock, the trees make the landscape otherworldly. Temperatures are most comfortable in the spring and fall, with average high low of 85 to 50 Fahrenheit, respectively. Winter brings cooler days around 60 degrees Fahrenheit and freezing nights, and snows occur occasionally at the higher elevations. Summers are hot over 10 degrees Fahrenheit during the day and not cooling much below 75 degrees until the early hours of the morning. All right. Good night, Matt. Thank you for coming. Yeah, Joshua trees be very interesting. Yeah, it's very fascinating. Joshua trees dominate the open spaces of the park, but in among the rock over outcroppings are pinon pine, California jump juniper, and these communities are under some stress. However, all the climate was wetter until the 1930s, with the same hot and dry conditions that provoked the Dust Bowl affecting local climate. These cycles were nothing new, but the original vegetation did not prosper when wetter cycles returned. The difference may have been human development. Cattle grazing took out some of the natural cover and made it less resilient to the change. Primal, have a good night, buddy. Thank you for hanging out with me for a little bit, and take care. The Chuckwalla lizard is amazing. Oh yeah, absolutely. That is. It sounds like a cool lizard. I don't know anything about it, but it sounds like a cool lizard. Yeah, that's a cool looking one right there. Yeah, definitely. These communities are under some stress, however, and the climate was wetter until the 1930s when some hot and dry conditions that provoked the Dust Bowl affected local climate. These cycles were nothing new, but original vegetation did not prosper when wetter cycles returned. The difference may have been human development. Cattle grazing took out some of the natural cover and made it less resilient to change. All right, penny no longer produced. The U.S. Treasury is phasing out penny production with the final order of penny blanks already placed. While the pennies will remain legal tender, no new pennies will be produced after the existing banks are used up. Blanks are used up, likely in early 2026. This decision is a cost-saving measure as producing pennies currently cost more than their face value. The U.S. Mint has placed its last order for the blanks used to make pennies and will cease. New pennies will cease on these blanks are used up, which is expected to be in early 2026. Pennies currently in circulation will still be valid transactions roundings. Businesses may be rounding prices to the nearest nickel to account for the lack of new pennies in circulation. Costs and saving decision to end penny production is primarily driven in the high cost manufacturing to the old coin. Potential impacts: while the pennies will be still accepted, their declining availability will likely lead to more transactions using other forms of payment, such as cash or digital payments. All right, so that is about that. Okay. Okay, so now at this point, we have reached the end of the show. And I want to thank all of you for being here and hitting the like button and hanging out with me. This stream has been amazing. And I really shout out to all the people in the channel, and I really appreciate our new spaceship members and the people in the chat we see. Y'all have added great commentary to the channel, and I hope all of you have a great evening, and we'll see about if there's any Diddy updates tomorrow. But I'll say super chats on deck, and let's see. We'll see snacks for the spaceship. Thank you, Matt, for that. Appreciate it. All right. So that'll be all for tonight, and thank you all for watching, and peace.